The Monday, January 13th Performance Committee will now come to order. We are convened as of 8:29 a.m. I would respectfully ask everyone attending this meeting to mute yourself unless you are recognized to speak. Please note that committee meetings of the RTD Board of Directors will be held remotely via Zoom and will be audio and video recorded. The meeting recordings, along with the unofficial minutes of the meetings, will be posted as soon as practicable on the board's website. During today's meeting, we are providing communication access real-time translation, also known as CART. Anyone who would like access to this service should send an email to the RTD board office at rtd.boardoffice@rtddenver.com, and a link will be provided. Additionally, the CART transcript can be automatically translated into Spanish for anyone who would like access to a live transcript of this meeting in Spanish. A live stream of this meeting is also available via RTD's YouTube page. I would now like to call the roll for the committee members. Director Busick. Director Geisinger.
Here.
Thank you. Director Gutschenritter.
Here.
Director Guzman.
Here.
Director Larson.
Here.
Director Nicholson. And I am Peggy Catlin, and I am here. So for the record, I see that there are 6 directors present and 1 absent.
Director Catlin, it looks like Director Nicholson just joined.
Okay. Good morning, Director Nicholson.
Good morning.
I also see that we have Director Chandler and Director Bouquet. And am I missing anyone? Okay. Thank you, non-committee member directors who have joined us. The first item on the agenda this morning is the selection of the committee chair and vice chair. In my capacity as the last elected performance committee chair, I will facilitate the election for committee chair and vice chair. Once both those seats are filled, I'll turn the meeting over to the newly elected committee chair. Unlike the executive committee election process, which uses secret ballots for the election of board officers, for committee leadership elections, we will proceed with open nominations, discussion, and then vote by the full committee. We will begin with the selection of the chair and then the vice chair. We will
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, I see we've also been joined by Director Banker.
Yes.
Will allow up to 3 minutes for those board members who nominate a candidate, those second nominations, if any, and any other members who wish to speak regarding the candidates to speak. I will then call for a voice vote in which directors will be asked to state the name of the candidate whom they support. The candidate who receives a majority support of present voting members will be declared the winner. If only one director is nominated, the committee may proceed by acclamation, and that director will be appointed. I will begin by asking for nominations for committee chair. Are there any nominations for chair of the performance committee? I see Director Busick has his hand raised. You are on mute, Director Busick. We don't hear you.
How's that?
Good. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Hello?
I'd like to nominate Director Guzman for chair of the performance committee. As I indicated at the Tuesday night meeting, Director Guzman has distinguished himself in a variety of ways on the board. Most recently, and especially with regard to the performance committee, in his work on the performance committee in the past, including negotiations with the GM CEO on their most recent contract. I think he's well placed to lead this committee for this current year.
Thank you, Director Busick. Is there a second? Director Larson, hand raised.
I'm not a second.
This is Director Gutschmider, a second.
Thank you. Director Larson, did you have a comment to make?
I just wanted to nominate myself for chair.
Okay. With Directors Guzman and Larson having been nominated, are there any other nominations?
I should second Director Larson's nomination. We need that, obviously would need a second. And I'll do that as a courtesy for him.
We do not need a second, but thank you for your,
Oh, I apologize.
that's okay. This is a little bit different than our election of the executive committee. Not only that is that we don't require a minimum number, we only require a majority of the directors present, committee directors present.
Got it.
So so again, with Directors Guzman and Larson having been nominated, I will provide an opportunity for each of the candidates to let us know why they feel that they would be a good chair of this committee. And I will call on Director Guzman first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, good morning, everybody. It's nice to see you, even remotely. I did, as Director Busick said, work with former Chair Davidson to complete negotiations with our esteemed General Manager and CEO, Deborah Johnson. So I understand the contract and what we look at in terms of work that needs to be completed this year. I also bring with me over 25 years of coaching and development of different partners in retail and associates at work as a manager and a supervisor. Obviously, a CEO is a little bit of a different level, but nonetheless, we are working with our one employee that we are responsible for ensuring is taken care of. Having busted my tail on performance committee for the last 2 years, I'm well aware of all of the ins and outs of this committee and what needs to happen in a timely manner to make sure that we can all work together to complete our work and get things to the board in a timely manner so nothing is waiting and nothing is left on the table. I believe I have a fairly good working relationship with Mrs. Johnson, our CEO and general manager. And I also really am looking forward to the opportunity to listening to everybody and trying to find a path forward while simultaneously making sure that we complete our work plan and get that done as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible so we can make progress for the agency. So I ask for your support and I ask for you to lean in when things get difficult and let's work together and get it done. So I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Guzman. Director Larson.
Yeah, I ran for director out of a lot of frustration with the performance of this agency. I ran because of my frequent experience with the trains near me not arriving anywhere near the time that they were scheduled and a lot of time never showing up at all. I ran because I was frustrated with the conditions of the trains, a lot of flagrant violations of the code of conduct in many ways. Frankly, the train stations were often kind of embarrassing and scary places for my 3 young girls when I would take them on rides with me. And I ran because I felt that the existing board, based on all of that, had largely failed in its responsibilities to provide the oversight necessary to get RTD to an acceptable level of performance, and that there should be some accountability. Now that I'm here and gotten a closer look at how things have been done, I think I understand some of the reasons why it's failed. In the performance scorecard for 2024, only 7% of the goals there were prioritized measures of performance that really matter, including on-time ridership and on-time reliability and increasing ridership. When you don't measure the things that really matter, it's not really that surprising when you don't get results. Unlike my opponent for chair, I'm not satisfied with telling riders that when their trains are unpredictably delayed, that they should just take the opportunity to spend 30 or 40 minutes to catch up on a book or listen to a podcast. To me, that perspective does not reflect the judgment necessary to take a leadership role in setting performance goals for this organization. And I think between the weak performance goals that were set last year and those kind of comments, I think it should be disqualifying. I mean, really, what is the public and our critics to think of us as a board when we assign that role to that has the greatest responsibility for setting our agenda for improving performance to someone with who's been involved and has made these statements like that. I also am disappointed, and I think I can do better in the area of synchronizing the planning process that leads to our performance goals. Right now, our budgeting, our labor contracts, our management contracts, and our performance goals are not happening on a schedule that follows any kind of rational planning approach. We're sitting here in January with the 2025 budget already set, a management contract already signed, a labor contract possibly imminent, and we're being asked to determine in only a few weeks what are some good targets for our GM CEO next year. Something that I think, because of the planning process being entirely out of sync, we're poorly prepared to do. So I'm running for performance committee chair and failing that vice chair, because I think it's time for new leadership on this committee that has the organizational planning and goal setting experience that'll move us forward. I have over 20 years as an executive in the medical device industry, and during most of that time, I've participated in or led goal setting, budgeting, and planning processes for the companies that I've worked for. I've personally led the development of achievement quotas and incentive plans for highly paid sales professionals for the majority of my 20 years in that industry. And as performance committee chair, I would help us get a planning and goal setting process that drives results and sets us back on the path to restoring the public's trust in this agency. Thanks.
Thank you, Director Larson. I will now proceed to call on each committee member in alphabetical order for their vote. Pardon me.
Director Catlin, Director
Anytime
Nicholson.
Director Dickerson's hand is raised.
I believe you mentioned we're allowed to speak on the nominations if we want to before the vote. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to say, so I've been friends with Matt Larson for a good number of years now, and he's someone I deeply respect. We've worked together as leaders in the YIMBY movement, and I've seen the quality of his work up close. He is dedicated, he is thoughtful, he is smart, and he is a consummate professional. I'm going to be supporting Director Guzman today because I believe that when it comes to the leadership of a committee as important as performance, Director Guzman's experience on the committee and the work that I have seen him do over the last year has more than convinced me that he will be an effective, impartial leader and broker of the variety of opinions on this committee. We have a complicated year ahead of us with a lot of different people, with, as we saw just now, a lot of different opinions. And we need someone who will bring that group of people together and listen well. And Michael, as I said also about Director Banker when I nominated her for treasurer, Michael is a good listener. He takes the time to talk to everyone. He hears them out. And I think that he will do a good job of leading this committee in the year to come.
Thank you, Director Nicholson. Are there any other comments before we proceed to the vote? And Director Nicholson, oh, you did take your hand down. Thank you. Okay, I'll proceed in alphabetical order. Director Busick.
Guzman.
Director Geisinger.
Guzman.
Director Gutschenritter.
Guzman.
Director Guzman.
Guzman.
Director Larson.
Myself.
And Director Nicholson.
Director Guzman.
And I will cast my vote for Director Guzman as well. So we have the majority vote is 6 for Director Guzman and 1 for Director Larson. Excuse me. Congratulations, Director Guzman. as committee chair. Now I'll ask for nominations for committee vice chair. Are there any nominations for vice chair? Director Guzman.
It would be an honor to nominate Christopher Guchenritter from District B, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, I'm relearning everybody's names and districts now. He has a long history with human resource and I think would make an excellent vice chair, bringing knowledge and skill to that role that's going to be needed to navigate the work of this committee. And I do believe that he is also committed, as I am, to getting the work done this year on time and efficiently. It would also be nice to bring in one of the new directors to start learning the leadership roles and set the team up all together, all of us, everybody, for the future work of this board, as we do have members that will roll off and new members that will come on. So it's my honor to invite Chris Guchenritter to become the new vice chair of Performance Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Chair Guzman. Director Busick.
Thanks, Madam Chair. And I would second that nomination. In my limited interactions with Director Guchenritter, I've found him to be open and sincere and not bring any preformed biases to the board or anything else. So I think he'd be a great addition.
Thank you, Director Busick. Director Larson, please.
I'll nominate myself.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? So with Director Guchenritter and Director Larson having been nominated as committee vice chair, I will now proceed to call on each. Well, I'll ask if there are any comments on behalf of those nominated, either by themselves or by others.
This is Director Gitschner. I just want to say thank you very much for the nomination. I do believe, with my professional experience and background, which has been in consulting over a decade, specifically in the HR function, have seen a whole lot of different companies, organizations, been closely involved with designing performance processes and consulting on the performance cycle firsthand. So with that, I believe that I have the relevant experience, and then also, as Director Busick said, I believe kind of there's soft skills, the eagerness to learn, and I would look forward to and appreciate the chance to work hand in hand with Director Guzman. So thank you again for the nomination.
Director Larson, do you have anything you want to add that you didn't already mention?
No.
Thank you. All right, I will proceed to the in alphabetical order for the votes. Director Busick.
Guchenritter.
Director Geisinger.
Guchenritter, please.
Director Guchenritter.
Gitschenritter.
Director Guzman.
Guchenritter.
Director Larson.
Myself.
And Director Nicholson.
Guchenritter.
And I am a vote for Director Guchenritter. I'm noticing a preponderance of G last names in this committee. Congratulations, Director Guchenritter, with a vote of 6-1. You have been selected as committee vice chair. Congratulations. Now it's my pleasure to hand the reins over to Director Guzman as chair of this committee, and thank you all for your patience as I ran the first part of this meeting. So with that, I'm going to put myself on mute and let Director Guzman take over. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. It is time for the public comment. Jack, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to follow along on the script and take notes. All right. I would like to open the public comment to anyone who would like to address the committee regarding any topic listed in the published meeting agenda for the current and immediately preceding month. If you wish to speak and you have not already done so, please either raise your virtual hand or press *9 on your phone. During this time, the committee will not offer any direct comments or responses. However, if you would like to be contacted regarding your public comment, please email the RTD board office at rtd.boardoffice@rtd-denver.com. Are there any hands raised or public comment?
Committee Chair Guzman, this is Jack Kroll. At this time, I see no hands raised.
Thank you. Were there any emails or other communiques sent for the committee?
Committee Chair Guzman, there were no emails sent in advance of this meeting with respect to this meeting's agenda items or the preceding months.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll. With no participants in the queue, we will close the public comment period at this time. We will proceed to other matters. Before I open the floor to other directors who may have other matters to discuss, I would like to ask, please, the Board Office Executive Manager, Mr. Jack Kroll, to provide a quick update on the Performance Committee's work plan and our next meeting.
Yes, thank you, Committee Chair Guzman. This is Jack Kroll, Executive Manager of the Board Office again. As those of you who have been following closely with the packets that were published for this week, two of the other board standing committees have discussions slated for their work plans this week. Do not fret. There is a work plan that GM and CEO Deborah Johnson, Executive Business Partner John McKay, and myself have been crafting for this committee. The plan is to discuss that work plan at your next meeting, which is subsequently slated to occur on Tuesday, January 21st. So that's coming. I also want to note that given the timing here of the board retreat on February 1st, and then the subsequent performance committee meeting on February 3rd, it is unlikely that the performance committee would be in a position to approve its work plan in February. While that certainly would be your discretion, the board bylaws require that you approve your work plan by March at the latest. And so I believe having a little bit more time baked in for you all to have, deep, in-depth conversations with GM and CEO Johnson on the work plan makes sense to approve that in March. So I just wanted to provide that update on your timeline for that first key item for this committee.
Thank you, Mr. Kroll. Are there any other matters to discuss? I do not see any hands raised. Before I follow this script, I just do want to point out one thing as it is at the end. The next meeting date is Tuesday, January 21st, and I believe it is at 8:30 a.m. I will tilt my hat to all of the directors. We can have a discussion about meeting times, but we do need to work with with CEO Johnson's schedule if we are going to make any changes to that meeting time for everybody to work. But these first two were so close together. I just wanted to make sure that I announced that clearly so everybody knew and could get it on the calendar. I do realize there may be conflicts in some ways, but we will work through it and figure it out together as a team, okay? All right. In a moment, the committee will meet in executive session to receive and to discuss personnel matters regarding the GM CEO's 2025 performance goals. I would like to append the motion to move into executive session to state that the performance committee meeting will be deemed adjourned after it adjourns into the executive session. For public transparency, this means that once the committee moves into executive session, the main meeting will be adjourned. I will now entertain a motion to move into executive session to discuss the following. Pursuant to section 24-6-402, open parenthesis 4, close parenthesis, open parenthesis F, close parenthesis, open parenthesis I, close parenthesis, CRS, for consideration of personnel matters regarding the general manager and CEO's 2025 performance goals and input from the board of directors on the same.
Busick, so moved.
Second.
I note the movement as Director Busick and the second as Director Nicholson. The main meeting is adjourned into executive session at 8:54 a.m.
Director Guzman? You
Yes.
just need to ask for the vote. See
Oh,
if anyone is opposed.
Thank you. See, learning already. May I have a vote? Are there any no votes? Seeing no votes, the meeting is adjourned at 8:55 a.m., the main meeting. For all of those who are expected to attend, please leave this Zoom room and move over to the executive session room. Please allow a few minutes to transition our meeting to the executive session.